introducing the National AIDS Levy in order to manage the AIDS scourge in the country. The Secretary General also commended the Zimbabwe Parliament for achieving the global distinction of being the only ISO 9001-2015 certified parliament globally. Furthermore, the Regional Women's Parliamentary Caucus Chairperson, Honorable Helen Fushima-Nyengeneng, reaffirmed the caucus's commitment to advancing gender equality across the SADC region. She commended Zimbabwe's best practices in institutionalizing gender equality and called for urgent action on gender-responsible budgeting, strengthened regional data systems, and enhanced male allyship to ensure meaningful and lasting progress towards gender parity in the region and beyond. The Southern Africa Youth Parliamentary Representative, Honorable Angela Nokubata Dube, emphasized sustained youth engagement in regional governance as she commended the partnership with SADC PF and called for swift action on a SADC youth protocol. She further called for inclusive representation, targeted investments in education, health, and economic empowerment to realize the full potential of the region's young generation. The Plenary Assembly resolved to prioritize parliamentary oversight, promote regional policy harmonization, support the development of a normative framework on AI and advance AI ethics to safeguard citizens and align AI implementation with the developmental aspirations of SADC region as had been espoused by President Mnangagwa in his official opening address. The Plenary Assembly acknowledged the proliferation of foreign AI technologies and emerging technology tools, but urged member parliaments to collaborate with tertiary institutions to address the unique needs of SADC parliaments. The Plenary Assembly reaffirmed the criticality of adopting a whole of SADC enterprise architecture to build a harmonized, digitally integrated region that leverages AI and emerging technologies to enhance regional integration, governance, innovation, and sustainable development through improved digital services, shared infrastructure, coordinated governance, and the joint policy frameworks aligned with the SADC Vision 2050, AU Agenda 2063, and the Sustainable Development Goals. The Plenary Assembly commended member parliaments for the remarkable progress in implementing Plenary Assembly resolutions and tracking national level actions, and applauded the informative and comprehensive country reports presented, which reflected strong commitment to peer learning, mutual accountability, and advancing the strategic priorities of SADC PF. The Plenary Assembly considered reports of Standing Committee and the RWPC. One, reaffirmed the central role of strengthening parliamentary capacity to monitor and advocate for SADC modern laws, and resolved to enhance collaboration with development partners to enhance advocacy efforts for the domestication and the implementation of modern laws. Reiterated the cardinal role of women's economic empowerment for gender equality and sustainable development, and resolved to support capacity building for women parliamentarians, eliminate discriminatory laws, and promote gender-responsive policies, as well as financial and digital inclusion in national development strategies across the SADC region. Reiterated the urgent need to strengthen parliamentary oversight of SADC prison systems, supporting inclusive legal reforms, protection of vulnerable groups, coordinated oversight, and adequate resources, while emphasizing active parliamentary involvement in developing the modern law to ensure ownership, relevance, and effective domestication of the modern law on prison oversight. Expressed deep concern over persistent human rights violations and worsening conditions in correctional facilities across the SADC region, and reaffirmed the urgent need to strengthen parliamentary oversight, reinforce the rights-based legal frameworks, enhance institutional accountability, and promote humane, gender-responsive detention standards in line with regional and international human rights obligations for detained people. Emphasize the role of parliamentary financial oversight in prison administration, and urge member parliaments to ensure adequate funding for alternative sentencing, rehabilitation, and health care, enhance budget transparency, and strengthen oversight of prison infrastructure investments, including public-private partnerships. Reiterated the link between food security, climate resilience, and sustainable prison management, and urged member parliaments to institutionalize regular prison oversight, promote climate-smart agriculture in prisons, and integrate prison needs into national policies on food security, health, and climate adaptation. Expressed concern over poor prison conditions in SADC region, especially their impact on women, juveniles, and children with incarcerated mothers, and reaffirmed the need to strengthen parliamentary oversight, promote gender-sensitive reforms, and domesticate regional instruments to protect vulnerable groups. Underscored the urgent need to declare prison health a public health priority, calling for gender sensitivity, trauma-informed and rights-based health care, including HIV and TB treatment, mental health support, sexual and reproductive services for women, and nutritional care as integral to broader public health and human rights imperatives. Reaffirmed the criticality of sustained parliamentary engagement in electoral processes, particularly through the deployment of MPs in SADC PF election observation missions. To support the domestication of the SADC modern law on election and uphold the democratic electoral standard across the region, and urged member parliaments to prioritize funding for the election observation missions. Excuse me. The Plenary Assembly adopted the motion on slow implementation of SADC model law on eradicating child marriages and protecting children already in marriage, reaffirming its commitment to accelerating national domestication, legislative reform, and coordinated action to safeguard the rights and futures of all children across the region. The plenary unanimously adopted the motion on enhancing food chain systems in the SADC region, and reiterated the urgent need for coordinated action to modernize and strengthen agri-food value chains in support of food sovereignty, economic growth, and sustainable development across the region. The Plenary Assembly adopted the motion on strengthening cybersecurity in the SADC region, underscoring the urgent need for coordinated legal, institutional, and capacity building measures to address escalating cyber threats and bridge the digital divide across member states. The Plenary Assembly adopted the motion on strengthening the nexus between sexual and reproductive health and rights and climate change in the SADC region and highlighted the urgent need to integrate SRHR into climate policies and financing frameworks to enhance resilience, equity, and public health outcomes across the region. The Plenary Assembly adopted the motion on increasing efforts to prevent spread and impact of HIV and AIDS in the SADC region, reaffirming the urgent need for sustainable political commitment, regional coordination, and domestic financing to end AIDS as a public health threat by 2030. Plenary Assembly warmly welcomed Honorable Sarah Kaungo-Ngerwa Amadila, newly elected Speaker of the National Assembly of Namibia, and congratulated her on her election as the host speaker in Namibia's milestone in advancing gender equality, and expressed sincere appreciation to former Speaker Honorable Professor Peter Kashavivi for his distinguished service to SADC PF. The Plenary Assembly commended the Republic of Zambia for its strides in promoting gender equality, particularly through the ongoing constitutional review aimed to increasing the representation of women in line with the SADC gender parity target, as well as enhancing the inclusion of youth and persons with disabilities. The Plenary Assembly reaffirmed its strong support for the ongoing diplomatic efforts to restore peace and stability in the DRC and commended the coordinated initiatives led by SADC, the East African Community, the Republic of Angola under the Luanda process, the African Union, the International Conference of the Great Lakes region, the United Nations, and other international partners working to promote dialogue and a peaceful resolution to the conflict. The Plenary Assembly expressed heartfelt condolences to the governments and peoples of Namibia and Zambia on the passing of His Excellency Dr. Sam Shasifuna Nujoma, founding President of Namibia, on the 8th February 2025, on His Excellency Edgar Chagwe Lungu, former President of Zambia, passed on 5th June 2025, and Mr. Roy Ngulube, Clerk of the Zambian National Assembly, who passed on 7th April 2025. The Plenary Assembly recognized their distinguished service, commitment to democracy, and lasting contributions to parliamentary development in the SADC region and beyond. The Plenary Assembly extended its appreciation to the Speaker of the National Assembly of Zimbabwe, Advocate yours truly, and through him, the government and people of the Republic of Zimbabwe for their warm hospitality, excellent organization, and steadfast commitment to the success of the 57th Plenary Assembly Session. I didn't draft that part. The Plenary Assembly expressed its appreciation to the Parliament of the Republic of South Africa for its commitment to interparliamentary cooperation in the SADC region by offering to host the 58th Plenary Assembly scheduled for the last quarter of 2025. I so submit, Mr. President.
I thank and commend the conveners of this Plenary Assembly for their leadership they have demonstrated in creating this platform to provide a strategic partner scheduled for tomorrow. Such a platform enables mutual exchange on key governance and electoral matters of the SADC region. Parliamentary Forum and the people of Zimbabwe for the
des pays de la SADC, le commissaire Ben Massimini à s'adresser à l'Assemblée. Vous avez 5 minutes.
honorable speakers of the SADC National Parliament and heads of delegations present, Secretary General of SADC Parliamentary Forum, honorable esteemed friends of the SADC Parliamentary Forum, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is my singular honor